So go ahead and drop what you sell in the chat. If it's something awful, you can just put asterisks for all the letters. We got Tess, we got Abby, we got Alice, and I already talked to you, and I yelled at you, so you and I are on really bad terms now. Allison Mills, if there's any other Allisons in here. Renee has got to put on a smile. There ain't no way we're doing this call without you smiling. There we go. Kira Armstrong looks like she is beating up a duck right now. I don't know what she's doing. I hope that duck's okay, though. Let's see who else is in here. I'm going to try and get everybody in before I get started. Laura, Jihan, Natasha, Aaron, Kate, Luca the second Luca. Let's see. Everybody turn on their cameras. Rihanna, Talia. That's a cool name. It's just like the coolest sounding name here. Everybody else's names suck. No. See, if you start picking favorites, then half of you are gonna gang up on me if I do that, right? That's a bad idea. All right, sweet. So if you haven't turned on your camera, please turn on your camera. If you're Paisley, who is currently driving home from the gym, I give you full permission to be in your car. But for anybody else, if you're eating, that's fine. And the only exceptions is if you're at work or like, we don't want to watch you go to the bathroom or some shit like that. So keep your camera off if that's the case. But in every other case, turn on your camera. The professional thing to do. People will show up for you how you show up for people. Drop a 1 in the chat if you agree with that. If you show up for people ready to go, ready to take notes, interested, then people will show up interested in you, right? So if you want people to be more excited for your calls, then you be more excited. We got 62 so far. I think we'll start in about 2 or 3 minutes, just so I get a lay of the land. What is your biggest challenge right now? It could be mindset, it could be sales, it could be I don't understand English, I don't really care what the problem is. Hey, Sav, what about mindset? Tech. Kara Scott, what about tech? And TEC, I don't know if that's code for something. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to dig in, but before I share my screen, see, that's a hook. So now I got you guys ready for what's next, but I'm not going to give it to you yet. I'm going to leave you on the edge of your seat. So who here is in sales? Drop a 1 in the chat. This should be easy. Everybody should put a 1. I should see 60, probably about 61s. All right? Except for Kiara. She just walks around the whole time we're on this call. She does whatever she wants. She's like, screw you guys. Learning sales. You're going to be in sales soon if you're learning sales. So if your intention is to be a sales rep, just identify as one now. A sales rep is someone who closes deals. If you don't close a deal, you're not a sales rep. If you hop on a sales call and you didn't close that deal for those 60 minutes, you were a low-paid spokesperson where you got paid $0 and you were not a salesperson during that time, but you were a spokesperson. A salesperson closes deals. Drop 2 in the chat if that makes sense. And hopefully Beck likes this because she's got that stern look on her face and I don't want to disappoint her. If you don't have your camera on, turn on your camera. Otherwise, I will throw a fit. I will get on the floor right now and throw a fit. I will cry. I know how. I've done it before, I swear.
Question.
Yes, Sarah.
Do you have a Facebook group called the Ethical Sales?
Yeah, ethical sales and unethical sales. I own both.
Yeah, I'm in
both
your
sides of the spectrum.
group.
Yeah? What do you think about it?
It's good. I wish there was a little more activity, but I have gotten a lot out of what you share.
Yeah, I'm super inactive there. But everybody else posts, so it stays like very lively. If you guys want, I have a job board group if you're looking for sales roles. I have jobs posted there daily, and I also have some jobs I can refer to at the end of this call if you stick around. I have one team that I'm actually working with. We're hiring one setter, and it's a hard role, and it's going to upset you, and you'll probably want to quit, and it's just too difficult. And we should probably hire someone else. I'm trying to piss you off a little bit. Now let me grab the job board. And you guys can go ahead and join this right now if you want. Yeah, exactly. The reverse psychology. Somebody's getting it, right? Let me grab this. So boom. Yeah, screw this guy. I'm out of here. I don't want to talk to him anymore. He's mean. We're about 60 people strong. If you guys are looking for job roles, that link that I dropped in the comments, in the chat, is my job board. I get about 200 plus jobs posted in there each month. So if you guys want to have like a steady flow of opportunity, join that group. And drop a 3 in the chat once you join the group. It's called Ethical Sales Job Board. All right, drop a 4 in the chat if you guys are having fun so far, and drop a 5 if you're horribly bored and want to get the fuck out of here. Also, I'm going to say lots of bad language. 5, Samantha, you're bored and want to get out of here? You said kidding.
I'm kidding.
Oh my God, ridiculous. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and share this presentation on my screen. So everybody calm down. I haven't decided. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for being indecisive. That's going to serve you well in life. All right, now, you guys ready? I want to share my screen. Can you guys see my screen? It should say the art of perfect sales. Drop a
John,
3 in.
oh yeah.
Yes?
It's just come up now. Yeah.
Perfect. See, I can trust you to tell me. All right. Now, what I'm about to share with you on the next slide is the most important thing you have to do in sales if you want to be successful. You will not make money if you don't do this. So does everybody drop a 7 in the chat if you have your notepad ready? Drop a 7 in the chat if you're ready to take notes. This is very important. You'll probably want to take lots and lots of notes during this. All right, here we go. The number one thing to do in sales is frown. If you smile, you have no authority. People with authority are just deeply unhappy. So to be good at sales, you must be deeply unhappy. Did you guys think we were going to be serious today?
I fucking love that. I can't work out if you're serious or not. I haven't got to know you enough. Like, I'm all for frowning, but is this real?
No, I'm fucking around. I'm screwing around, man. This is totally a joke. Because I heard, I was talking to that lady who runs this group, whatever her name is, Brooke, right? And she was like...
That lady who runs the program.
Yeah, I know, right? Whatever her name is. So, and she told me, she said that you guys, some of you have been getting advice that to have authority, you get like advice from other sales trainers to not smile because it like makes you less authoritative on a call. So and she told me a bunch of other stuff. So I based a lot of what I put into this presentation off of that.
There's a lot of fucking numpties out there that we're all exposed to. So I love that you're jumping on
What's
that.
I don't know what that means. You're gonna have to.
Oh, is that not an American term? Fucking numpty?
No, please share. That is a fun thing to say. I'm putting that in my pocket for sure.
A fucking numpty, like just how do you? I think that's an Abby term.
Retards?
Come on,
Numpty.
That's a numpty, like just like oh my God,
it's a retard, like stupid idiot,
like a dumb person.
You better buckle up. I asked you at the beginning, are you guys ready for presentations that's totally going to offend you? So drop a 7 in the chat. Drop a 69 in the chat if you guys are ready for a presentation that is going to offend you. That's what I'm saying. All right, cool. Now everybody mute themselves for right now. The number 2 most important thing to do in sales. Can you guess what it is? Get serious. Successful people are stiff, rigid, serious, and are zero fun and have zero sense of play. To be successful, you must be invisible pain or apathy. You need to be so low mentally. People might think you're dead. You cannot show any sign of enjoyment. You must be stoic. Have you guys drop a, 7 in the chat if you've ever heard advice like that. You can't get too excited. You ever heard something like that? Especially in the sales space. You guys might not have enough sales experience to have been given that advice. But that's some new agey sales advice. Don't celebrate till it's official, right? Number 3. You guys ready for number 3? You're going to love this one. You have to worry. Most salespeople worry, have fear, have doubt. So if you want to be good at sales, you better get real scared, not believe in yourself, and just really worry. Drop a 8 in the chat if you're having fun so far. Drop a 9 in the chat if you're horribly depressed because of this presentation. And you're suffering from depression deeply. It pains you horribly. Now we'll actually continue. So, but let me ask you, does it sound familiar? People tell you to smile less, right? And then on calls, you got to be real authoritative. You got to tell them what to do. Make them follow your process. And if you're too enthusiastic, it'll push away a sale and blah, 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 right? So you can't be yourself on calls. You got to be somebody else. And the sales trainers that you listen to, outside of that lady who runs this program, Brooke, they can't do it, right? They can't sell and be happy. Now, drop a 9 in the chat. Who wants to sell and be happy? Drop a 9 in the chat. If that doesn't apply, you can get the fuck out of here, all right? With all the, what did you call them, Abby? What's the retard word that you used?
Numpty.
Numpty, okay, cool. With all the other numpties, right? Because that's their worldview, right? They're unhappy and they think unhappiness is required to make money. So they put that on you and they give you bad advice and then you listen to the advice because they make more money than you. And that's not really always a good reason to listen to somebody's advice. Now drop a 1 in the chat if you are hungry to be the best and you want to be so good at sales and doing the sales thing that you can get any job you want. Sales job. Sorry, whenever you are a contractor, it's still a job, right? Until you're an investor, you still have some form of job, right? All right, cool. I think I'm talking to the right people. Drop a 2 in the chat. If you're not a love and group, don't get me wrong. We like to have fun here, right? And make money and live an exciting life. But we're not here waiting for our chakras to align or wait until the moon is in a perfect half circle or whatever to hit targets. Drop a 2 if you feel like that applies. We're realistic here, right?
Well, John, you may find a mix of this. There is we do chase the moon and chakras just to a degree, but also there's definitely a lot of tours.
Yeah, but I would say let's make sales regardless of if your chakras are aligned or regardless of what the moon's doing.
Yeah.
You gotta take the action too.
Yeah,
you gotta take
if your effect to what the moon phase is or your effect to your chakras, a victim is someone who is an unwilling and unknowing effect to life. So if you're effect to those things, you're just putting yourself as a victim, waiting for those things to be right for you to get results in life. You can get results because you decide to, not because of some outside thing. All right, anyway, let's continue. Now, drop a 3 in the chat if you're hardworking, but the way you're operating is probably emotionally stressful because you beat yourself up, you get in your head, you worry, you stress, you get anxious, etc., etc., etc. And that gets in the way because money isn't attracted to anxiety, just like you wouldn't be attracted to an anxious man. Drop a 3 in the chat if that applies to you. Oh, God, I'm not sure if I should sell him. Oh, God, I hope I don't hurt his feelings. Right? Sarah's with her clam hands. She's clapping. I don't know what that is. That's great.
It's like snaps at like a like poetry slam, but it's the new age one where it's like tea.
It's like whenever you're like reading a poem in front of people, and they do snaps, right? All right, cool. Mm-hmm. Drop a 3.5 in chat because I didn't feel like fixing it and putting 4 here. If you don't know how to use data to analyze what you did right or wrong, either in your sales day, your sales week, your sales month, and sometimes you don't have enough experience. So without this data, you make everything personal. Like legit, you hop off a call that you lost the deal to, and then the bad emotions and feelings start coming in. And you're not able to use data to kind of like level everything out. Because that's the great equalizer, is regardless of how your day went, you can look at the data and see, okay, cool, today was actually not that bad of a day because if we look at the month, I'm actually up on last month. I'm working with a sales team right now, and we went from like 23 or 27 grand in revenue to we've done 108 plus this month so far. And I was on with one of the reps, and he's like, yeah, I feel like my stats are down, but we actually looked at his stats for like 10 minutes. And we saw that his show rate's up, his total bookings are up, his total showed calls are up, and everything's just fine. But it's his emotions that come in whenever he has a bad day, or because, management's obviously always up your ass to get your stats even higher. It's still not where it needs to be, but it's way better than he thought. Right? So drop a 3.5 in the chat if the emotions come in because you don't know what data to look at and when, and you don't know how to reverse engineer your goals. I'm going to teach you guys that, not today, but that's going to be on a future training. We're doing 5 of these. So today is mindset. Yeah, hopefully that's okay with Abby because she's going to be real mean to me if I screw this one up.
I love that we get 5 days of you, 5 sessions of you.
That's awesome. I love your energy. Cool. That's fucking great. You guys are awesome. So good. Okay, everybody give snaps to Abby because she has fantastic energy. All right. Snap. All right, cool. Fuck yeah. You guys are the coolest. This is so fun. All right. Drop a 4 in the chat if you're not fixated on the money and you actually like doing sales. Like, yes, your job's to make fucking money. That's your only job, actually. Your only job in sales. It's not to help people. I'm sorry to tell you, but if you don't sell someone your product, you're not going to sit with them and fix their life with them. You're not there to help them. You are there to sell them. That's the truth. But sales is a fun game. So drop a 4 in the chat if you like playing the sales game. And drop a 5 in the chat if I offended you by telling you that you're not actually there to help them. Because that's actually not it. They can't get help if they don't buy. You know, that's the thing, is we want to tell ourselves that. But you're not going to sit with them.
We lost you, John. Can't hear you. Guys, is it just me that can anyone else hear him?
No.
Down? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, you're back.
Yes.
You're back.
Okay.
You're back.
Okay. I can't touch my microphone. Sometimes I screw it up. Okay, cool. So the thing is that we get all these weird ideas about sales based on our emotions and what we think and feel. But the reality is the only purpose of a salesperson is what? Drop it in the chat. You were only hired in a company to do one thing. You produce all the revenue and cash that pays everybody else's bills in the company. That's it. You're the only thing that produces the lifeblood of a business, which is money. The lifeblood of a business, yes, there is your spiritual life force, which is super important. The more you have more of that, the more you can put life into the world, and the more you can brighten things up. Like all you guys with your beautiful smiles, you walk into a room and you smile and everybody else smiles because you're bringing that great energy, right? Except for Leah, she doesn't want to smile today, but that's fine. She doesn't have to smile if she doesn't want to. Right? So your guys' job is to produce money, right? So who here wants to produce more money and feel better about themselves because they're doing their job really damn well? Drop a 5 in the chat if you get weird advice on how to think, like stop smiling on calls, or you need to act like an authority, and your light starts to get dimmer because you stop being yourself and start being what other people tell you to be. Drop a 5 in the chat if that's you. You guys are pretty cool. I'm going to elect Abby to be my vice president of this call. Vice president.
Yes, VP.
That's what I'm saying. All right, cool, sweet. We got lots of 5s. Now, drop a 6 in the chat if you have the skills. Now, I know some of you don't, so I added a caveat here. If you have the skills but get in your own way, drop a 6 in the chat. Or you're learning the skills and it's difficult to build them quickly because you keep getting in your own way. The fear, the doubt, the guilt, the shame, the this, the that. I just screwed up the script again and I start feeling bad. Man, this is tough. I don't know when I'm going to get good at this. Drop lots of 6s. Now, let's take a look. You are a spiritual being. Drop a, 47 in the chat, if that's true. You're not a body. You're not a brain. You're a spiritual being. You're driving around this body. You wouldn't have any life force if you weren't a spiritual being. That's what the life force is. That's you. You can do anything. You can be good at something quickly. You can will people to buy. You can intend and hop on a call and intend someone to buy, and if you intend them to buy, they will buy. That's how I close all my deals. All kinds of weird shit will happen in the middle of a call, and yet they somehow still buy. You can smile all you want and have fun helping others. You can hit your targets as quickly as you want. But you agree with your limits. Drop a 7 in the chat if you agree with your limits, and that's why you have them. The only fact is that if you had limits, you'd have to agree with them. So if you do have limits, you'd have to be agreeing with them to some degree for them to get in the way. If you actually fully disagreed with all your limits, you would have no limits. If you disagreed with all your lemons, you'd have no lemons, too. They would stop hanging around with you. And then life would stop giving you lemons, and you couldn't make lemonade. All right? As a spiritual being, you're here to play a game and have fun. You're currently playing the sales game. And your opponent is the word no. If you're not having fun, you're not being yourself. Now, in sales, your opponent's no. It's not the prospect. You want the prospect to buy. You want to be on their side. Drop a, 3 if that makes sense. Does that make sense? That you want to be on their side and you're fighting with them against their limits. So if they have limits that you have, like if they have fears around money and you have fears around money, are you going to be able to handle their fears if you have the same limits as them? Yes or no in the chat. Are you going to be able to handle the limits that they have if you have them too? So if you want to get really good at sales, the easiest way to get good at sales is handle your own limits, and then you'll be able to handle others easily. Or you'll have to keep learning fancy handlers for the rest of time. You will never learn how to handle people if you don't figure out, and if you hop on a call and you're scared and you can't get the fear to go away on command, how are you going to be able to help them get rid of their fear on command? They run around with their fear driving them around all day. Scared of shit. I'm scared to invest. I'm scared to do this. I'm scared to do that. All right? Now, this one's going to be a new one. 0% of communication is body language. 0% of communication is tonality. 0% of communication is the words you say. 100% of communication is your intention, your energy, and your ability to create understanding. Anybody disagree? You want to fight me on this? I'll wrestle you right now. It's an energy transfer. So if you intend for them to buy, then that's the only thing present in the conversation. It doesn't matter what objections they give you. It doesn't matter how scared they are about money. You just say, hey, I understand you're scared about money. Buy anyway. That's fine. Let's go ahead and buy anyway. Who cares? Big deal. Well, you're broke anyway, so you might as well invest so you can make some more money. They're like, oh man, I'm just scared of going broke. Well, you're there. Sorry, homie. Oh, you only got 10 grand in the bank? Well, that ain't going to fix any of your, emergencies that you could have. You think your emergency fund's going to fix an emergency? You need to make way more money. You got an income problem, not a savings problem. And you just move them. You get it done. You don't let anything get in your way. It has nothing to do with the words you say. You find the words. Drop a 1 in the chat. Is if your mental state is high on calls, you will always find the right words to say. You don't have to have handlers for your friends when they have problems and you're helping them, do you? You don't go hang out with the girlies and they're like, man, I got this boyfriend. He sucks. He keeps screaming at me. And you're like, oh man, what should I say? You don't go in your little, like my bestie pamphlet. Let me get my script. What tonality should I have when I say it? Oh, well, you should probably break up with him. No, it doesn't fucking matter. It's your intention. That's it. All right? Drop a 2 in the chat if you guys are in agreement. Let's keep going. Yet, you're frantically running around trying to find the right words, trying to figure out if you should say the words left, right, or upside down. And that's all you guys probably learn in your sales training is like, how should I say it? I should have a concerned tone. Well, if you were fucking concerned, you'd probably sound concerned. Most sales training is acting training. And people who are actors, what you're doing when you're acting is you're not being yourself and you're pretending to care and you're pretending to be interested and you're pretending. And that's why people don't buy from you. If you were actually being yourself and you didn't have to act, people would buy from you. That's what real authenticity is. I hate when people use the word authentic because most of the people I ever see use the word authentic are the most inauthentic people I've ever met. Total bullshit. It's just like someone who says, trust me, it's probably the guy you shouldn't trust.
Until you meet a bunch of she sells girls who just drop their F-bomb and don't give a fuck.
I know. So thank you, Vice President. Thank you for your insight.
We're pretty fucking authentic over here.
Yeah. I dig it, man. So that's it. But the thing is, that's what sales training is. People, and I've heard sales trainers say this, and they think it's a real cool thing. They're like, sales training is acting training. Well, you shouldn't have to act. If you were an expert, if you actually, we're going to talk about how to understand your market. So drop a 5 in the chat. We're going to be talking about markets next call. So you're going to learn how to master your market. So when you hop on a call, you're actually a fucking expert. And you don't have to worry about them asking you technical questions that you don't know the answer to. You'll actually know what you're talking about. Drop a 5 if that sounds interesting to you. Actually knowing what you're talking about. Not just taking enough sales training to throw out product expert out the window. You should know everything about what you sell and why it helps. That's what old sales professionals used to do. But now sales professionals are just like, oh, as long as I say the right things, then they'll buy. But you call yourself a trusted advisor, but you wouldn't trust you to advise you, would you? Not on those subjects. If you're selling real estate and you know nothing about real estate, why would you trust you to advise you? You couldn't. It would be totally unrealistic. Drop a 6 in the chat if that makes sense. It doesn't take time. You can be an expert overnight if you know how to learn. That's what I teach my program. You learn how to learn, then you can learn very quickly. All the stuff I've learned about, I technically used to binge real estate shit. But let's say I wanted to learn about Forex. I know very little about Forex. You can sit down in about 4 hours and know everything you need to know about Forex to be able to talk about it confidently and know what all the technical terms are and know how to explain it simply to your prospect. Who here ever loses deals because they explain things way too complicated and then their prospects want to think about it because they don't know what the fuck you're talking about? You might not actually realize that's why you get think about it objections. Anybody? Chatty Abby does this. Abby, you're going to get roasted today. So you will get think about it objections. I'm going to give you guys something right now, so pay attention. You will give think about it objections to the degree that your prospect does not fully understand what you're talking about. If it's too complicated, too many technical language words, if it's longer, my pitch is like 3 minutes at most. Usually people pull out their credit card before I ever pitch them. They just say, can I just get started? And I say, hold on, can I tell you what I'm selling you first? That's literally how I would say it. So that way they know what they're buying. I don't want them to buy something and not know what it is. So if you guys actually know what you're talking about, drop a 7 in the chat. Would you close more deals? If you actually felt fully confident in your ability to analyze someone's situation. What if you knew how to look at their finances and you could analyze their finances to know if it's a good decision? What if you could look at their credit situation and know what they get approved for in terms of credit cards? Then you could actually call yourself a fucking advisor if you knew what you were talking about and knew how to make good financial decisions. Not just going off of, oh, do they have enough money in the bank account? That's not the only measure of if it's a good financial decision, by the way, guys. You can't just swipe your card until it stops running. There's actually a way to do your finances. These are things that I got to add into my program. This is the type of stuff that made me good at sales, is I just know what the fuck I'm talking about. So if I take you through a sales process, you're going to know I've already made the decision for you whether or not you're buying. And you're just going along with it. Because I have taken enough responsibility over your situation to say, here's your problems, here's the correct solution, and here's how you're going to pay for it, and here's your exact payment plan, Mr. Prospect. You ready to go? It should never be, do you want to? No. It should be very clear. Here's the exact solution we're going to do today, because here's all the problems you shared with me, and here's why we're going to do it. Maybe we could review one of my calls. I have one where the lady said, I don't trust you, and I feel like you're selling me a product that you're just trying to sell me a product that doesn't actually match my problems. And then she bought like 30 minutes later. So that's one of my favorite calls. If you know how to handle people, we're going to do some drilling. I can't do the advanced stuff with you because we only got 5 calls and I can only do so much. I'm trying to give you guys like a brief overview of like improving each different section. We're going to actually get into that. So I'll talk about that later. But I'm going to keep going. So when in reality, it's your energy. It's not the words that you say. So when you have fear in the background, then it gets mixed in with what you say. And then therefore the prospect perceives fear. If you're talking and fear's in the background, no matter how far you stuffed it back there, they're still going to receive it. Doesn't matter, even if you felt fear when you said it, it's still stuck back there. If you're scared they're not going to buy, they're going to feel your level of uncertainty. If you're scared that they're going to find out that you don't know what you're talking about, they're going to feel your level of uncertainty. And why would they feel confident buying if you're radiating fear, even if it's a tiny amount? Why would they buy? A little anthrax will kill a whole room just how a little doubt or fear or uncertainty will kill a deal. Drop a 10 in the chat if you agree with that. How am I doing, Abby? You're my...
Yeah, VP says you're doing good. I got your back. That's
okay,
good.
Cool. Sweet. Good shit. Now, it's never the words you say. It's your level of interest in the prospect. Are you actually interested in them? There's a typo, beyond just what is required to close a deal. Who here feels that they're only interested in their prospects to the degree that it's required to close the deal? Meaning you're not actually totally interested in all the other stuff that they're saying, but you're pretending to be, and you're nodding your head and you're smiling and acting like it's of interest to you because you're hoping that they'll like you enough to buy from you. Drop a 1 in the chat if that applies. And it's okay if it does. We're all salespeople here. I've done that a bajillion times. You pretend, right? Wow, I like this. You guys don't do that. Sarah and... How do I pronounce your name again? Can you tell me again, please? So it's your mental state. It's not the words you say. Your mental state determines the quality of your communication. Drop a 2 in the chat if you agree with that. Who here feels they get too serious on calls? They lose their sense of play. They let the fear and the doubt get them tense on calls. Drop a 2.5 in the chat. So then you get tense and you get rigid. Seriousness is when attention becomes important due to penalty. You're only giving your attention because you're worried something bad will happen. They won't like you, they'll reject you, you'll lose a deal, you won't pay bills, you'll get fired, someone will listen to the call review and think you're bad at your job, whatever it is. So who here feels they get serious? 2.5 in the chat. Not totally playful. How we're acting today, this is totally playful. No seriousness. Not a ounce of seriousness in this call. I sure hope not. And then you get uncomfortable when prospects show emotions. This might not apply totally, but let me know if it does. And then you get uncomfortable when prospects show emotions, or you get fearful when they're aggressive, and you shrink away and get smaller. Drop a 3 if this ever happens. You get an aggressive prospect and you get a little fearful. They hop on the call like, just tell me the price. I just want to hear what it is. Can we skip all this? That's enough. I'm out of here. Or you are thinking about what to say next and miss what they say and think, oh shit, hopefully they didn't notice and hopefully it wasn't important. Drop a 4 in the chat if that applies. So you're in your head during calls thinking about the script or what handler you're going to use next instead of actually listening to them. 4 in the chat, all right? Man, Sarah's having a ball with this. I made this presentation only for Sarah. Or you don't push hard, or you don't know how to without bringing up sales resistance. So who here gets kind of weak on calls and kind of shrimpy? So when it comes time for the close, you don't have any balls. I can't say ovaries because that would be weird, right? Drop a 5 in the chat if that applies. You get kind of anxious or fearful, and you don't push. Or you don't aggressively objection handle. I'm talking about how I'm talking right now. Like I'm giving you the facts. Giving it to you straight. Right? And you hop on a call and you're not able to handle somebody. And you're like, oh shit, I ran out of things to say. My script doesn't go this far. So what the fuck do I do next? And then you're like, And then I don't know how to handle this. Right, this guy just keeps saying he wants to think about it. Is he crazy? He's got to be crazy. He went by, right? Brain farts. Whoever shits their brain, right after their brain fart. So fine, Melissa, don't laugh at my joke. Jesus, I don't know how to make you happy. I'm trying so hard. Jesus. You too, Maddie. Waterhouse, which is a cool name. Oh, cool. You were giving me the hands up, right? You shit. You shit.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just laughing and agreeing with everything you're saying right now. It's great.
That's freaking awesome. Well, then I'm talking to the right people. And it's this and a long list of other things that derail you on calls and in your sales month. Oh, I have a bad week. You go through a roller coaster. It's up and it's down. And one day you're up and one day you're down. And then today you're worried and, oh, now I got all hyped up on my last coaching call. So now I'm going to have a good day. Hopefully this lasts long enough so that way I can make sales through the next 7 days. Drop a 6 in the chat if that sounds like you. You have all kinds of stuff derailing you. Like hopefully my giddiness doesn't go away. Hopefully my eagerness to do my job doesn't go away. And then I get bummed out. And then I have a bunch of losses because people say no. And then I get in my head, and I worry, and then I look at my numbers, and they're nowhere where they need to be, and I don't want to follow up with people because they're all going to tell me no. Drop a 6 in the chat if this sounds like you. Does this resonate with you? Yeah, cool. Good shit. Now, let's talk about intention, because I talked about intention earlier, so let's get into it. Intention is if you intend something to happen, it happens if you intend it to happen. So let me ask you guys. Go ahead and read that definition again. Drop a 1 in the chat once you got it. And then we can move on. It's okay if you read it a few times. All right? 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That's what you say whenever you are taking down names in Mexico. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. All right. Let me ask you, if you lose a deal, did you intend to close the deal? Yeah, Must not have. The idea lost their intention some way through the call. Or who here goes into calls hoping it goes well, hoping that the script works, hoping the objection handlers work? Drop a 2 in the chat. Who here goes into calls hoping that all of their preparation works and they don't actually have a full intention that they'll close? Like they don't will the call to close just with their own spiritual energy. So let me ask you, if you did close a deal, was your intention to close it? Yes or no? If you intended to close, and then we saw that you closed, then we can tell you intended to close. If you didn't close, or if it was going well, you guys ever get halfway through a sales call and like you start to lose hope and you get just a tiny bit of doubt that comes in, just a tiny. And then that totally screws up the deal. You lost the intention. Drop a 3 in the chat if that ever happens. Some fear, or you question whether you can do it, or you wonder if the objection handler is going to work, and you start thinking and getting in your head instead of putting the attention on the prospect. Drop a 3 if that ever happens. And then a deal that you were like, man, this is totally going to close, and it just slowly goes downhill. The thing is, with intention, is knowing it's going to happen regardless of contrary appearances. So it's knowing regardless of all of the objections they give that they will still close. That is what it looks like on a sales call. You see, I get objection after objection after objection, they're still going to close. I don't care. And then being able, what people say is you gotta, basically, if you guys intend to close the deal, you will. And the issue is that you see all of these objections. If someone is objecting, does that mean they don't want to buy? Now let me ask you, who here, and you can unmute and I'll talk to you, just one person. Whoever unmutes first gets it. What's the difference between an objection and an obstacle? Sarah?
No.
She unmuted first, I think.
Objection is something you can overcome, and an obstacle is something you can both. Nope, you can overcome both of those.
Okay.
I don't know.
Is it just the spelling and the way you approach it?
No, it's not. Man, you're my favorite, Jules. You're the best. I freaking love you.
Spelling and your attitude towards it. Simple as that.
So all of these things are very touchy-feely ways of talking about this, but it's not grounded in any sort of fact. So I'm going to tell you what the facts are. An objection is something someone says that's in direct opposition to something else. So an objection would mean that they're in direct opposition to buying. If someone says, I'm worried about the money, is that an objection? Are they saying they're in direct opposition to buying?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
Okay. So then is that an objection or an obstacle?
Obstacle.
That would be an obstacle.
Yeah, if they say no, is that an objection or an obstacle?
Objection.
There you go. If someone says, I need to think about it, is that an objection or an obstacle?
Obstacle.
Yes, but it becomes an objection because it's going in direct opposition to where you want them to go, which is making a decision. But also, the majority of the time when people want to think about it, it's because they're afraid and they're hoping by adding more time, they will somehow, or thinking about it, but thinking is just getting in your head. You are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are generated by your mind automatically. Almost every thought you ever have, you've never made. It was just your mind chatting and you listening. So when they go think about it, they're going to sit with all the confusions and misunderstandings they have from your call, because you said a bunch of things that didn't make sense to them, and then they're going to get nowhere. And they're going to hope and pray that they find an answer, and the answer is almost always no, because they're going to side with their level of discomfort and fear because they want safety. So if they leave the call thinking about it, it's likely because they're fearful. I have had logistical and logical buyers want to think about it, and they came back and bought. I am fine if they go think about it. I don't care. It's going to be a no on the call if it's a no from them thinking about it, because they're going to analyze the same amount of data. It's just that having them stay on the call until you handle them gives you a higher chance of closing them. But somebody who's going and being fearful about it, they're in a lower mental state, which means they're not going to make a good, clear decision. When you guys are fearful, do you make good decisions? Yes or no?
Yes, bad ones.
Yeah, bad ones. No, I said, do you make good decisions? And you said, yes, bad ones. I make really good, bad decisions. So
depends who's listening. Whether it's good or bad good, depends who's listening.
Give me a Y in the chat for yes, if it's cool if we just speed through the rest of this so we can get to some Q&A. But the fact of the matter is if your client's or prospect's mental state is too low, number one, you cannot influence someone whose mental state is higher than yours. So you have to have the highest mental state possible to have any chance of influencing the most amount of people. Drop a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. All right. Now, drop a 2 in the chat. Someone who is too low of a mental state, are they going to be able to make a good decision on their own without raising their state? Drop a 2 in the chat if it's a no. They won't. If someone's fearful, Sarah, they won't make good decisions. If they're shameful, or they feel apathetic, or they feel sad and griefy, they won't make good, clear decisions. So it's your responsibility to raise their state to a place to where they can make decisions. On a sales call, typically you leave people off at fear. You get them real scared about their situation, and then that gets them to want to buy. I recommend you raise their state much higher to where they can think logically, because if you have a good deal, they should logically buy it. If they were thinking logically, they should buy your good deal. Drop a 3 in the chat if that makes sense. So if you keep people emotional on calls, it's just like, I get like the girly thing of wanting to do like the emotional shit, but my job's to keep you sane, and you will go insane if you're being emotional all day. That's exactly where all your problems come from, don't they? If you're being emotional all the time, you have more problems. Drop a 4 in the chat if you agree with that. You get to ride the emotional roller coaster, which keeps you quite interested. And you go, ah, ah, and that's your life. It's fun on the ups, and it's really bad on the downs. So that's why we got to remove the drama. Remove the drama by removing emotions. And it doesn't mean removing all emotions. We might as well keep the good ones and save the bad ones for when someone dies or a lion's chasing us. But there's no reason to be fearful and guilty and sad in the middle of your day randomly. That's a weird thing to do. That's not a logical thing to do. Drop a 5 in the chat if you guys are following, and drop a 6 in the chat if I totally lost you. And there's no saving you. Let's keep going. Now, take note of at least one win. We're going to set an intention for this call. We're going to set an intention for this call. Who's ready to set an intention? 6, I lost you? Melee? You're the... Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. No. If I lose one person out of all you lovely ladies, I can live with it. Jules, I didn't lose you. I didn't lose you. There's no way. I think you're trying to tussle. All right? Let's set an intention for this call. Why don't we drop a 7 in the chat if you guys are ready to set an intention for this call, what we're going to get out of it. First thing, take note of at least one win, aha moment, something you can apply or some mental block you got rid of. Who here has already experienced some wins or aha moments, or like, holy shit, that was cool, or I didn't know that, and who here has gotten some stuff that they can take away and apply so far? Drop a 1 in the chat. Just from the intro, we're not even into the meat and potatoes. Cool. So, number 2, I want you to share it on Facebook and tag me so I can see what pain I'm causing you. You guys cool with that? Share a post on Facebook and tag me in it? Yeah? Now, I'm going to drop my Facebook real quick. Let me grab my Facebook link. Do I have it in my thing? I should have it in my thing. No! Should be in here. I think it's on the next slide. Let's see. Yeah, it's on the next slide. So, now everybody add me on Facebook. I'm going to drop the link in chat, and then DM me SheSells so I know that you guys showed up to this. You can do it on Instagram too. I'll drop my Instagram. That's fine. Just look me up. Yeah.
Look around it.
Just DM me. Just DM me.
Yeah,
DM me SheSells. So I'm going to keep, become unfuckwithable. Now, I had one guy come to a call, and he was like, I want to become unfuckable. And I said, that's probably not what you mean, but I understand you mean well. So I don't know if I can help with that. That's the wrong call, man. Go slather yourself in tar and feathers. That might help you out. All right, cool. Let's keep going. Who is going to produce some wins and share and tag me? Drop a hashtag me in the chat. If I get enough hashtag me's, then we'll continue. But we're going to, I have to run. Unbelievable, Melissa. Well, you can watch the recording if you want to. So who is going to produce some wins, meaning you learn something new, you apply something. We're going to do Q&A soon, by the way. So I will help any of you with whatever the fuck you want help with. I don't care. So get ready for that. Cool. So can all of you, just by nod of heads, are you willing to make a post and share what you learn and then tag me in it? It helps me out a ton. Right? Are you guys willing to do that? Is that cool? Sweet. Cool. Let's move on. And if you're not, put a hashtag not me so we know who the traders are. Yeah, Sarah's going to write down hashtag not me. That's what she's going to do. Right? That's what she's the trader. Okay, cool. So now people will show up and keep their word with you to the degree you keep your word with others. So if you want people to show up and buy when they say they're going to and keep their word, then it would be a good idea, now that you said you'll share whatever wisdom you get today, that you actually do it. You guys think that'd be a good idea? Drop a one in the chat. All right, cool. Let's keep going. So my name's John. I like to smoke cigars, do fun shit, laugh my ass off, and take walks while looking to the right. And I privately interviewed about 20 people for 2 hours apiece, ranging from negative $30,000 net worth to $100 million plus in net worth. And I've taken about 40-ish clients. And I compiled that data. It's in a pinned post on my profile on Facebook of like wealthy people versus poor people, how they think. And I've taken about 40-ish clients since starting my business about 2 years and 3 months and 30 days ago. And some things that my clients have done is they've removed anxiety and depression. One went from, hold on, these are things that they did. I'm not saying that they had anything to do with me. I'm learning about the FCC, and I can't make income claims and stuff like that. So this is just some stuff that my friends did, totally unrelated to me, if the cops come asking, okay? And Leah, I saw that you raised your hand, so I'll be able to talk with you once we get to that point. But here's some things that my pals did, who may or may not have been related to some things that I did, but I cannot confirm nor deny that. Drop a 3 in the chat once you've read this. I'm not going to read it out loud. Drop a 3 in the chat. Drop a 3 in the chat so I can move on. Come on. 3 in the chat. Thank you, Melee. I know you really want to move on to this presentation. You want it to be the end. You don't want it to be in the middle yet. You just want to skip to the end where I say bye because you don't want to talk to me anymore. It's okay. All right, cool. Let's keep going. What the fuck is on this slide? Did I just put a random slide? Oh, yeah, and here's this is my testimonials, 174 testimonials, 73 testimonials from when I started to about a year and a half ago. So this isn't all of them. But I'm just saying, like, if you don't trust me yet, here's the reason to trust me. That's the 2-minute video. We're not going to watch that. And I help experienced sales reps remove all their mental blocks around sales, fear, money, shame, etc., and predictably hit their targets every single month using data and by improving their communication and understanding of their market. Drop a 4 in the chat if what I just said sounds true to you because of the experience you've had so far. Does that sound about right? Does that sound like what I do? Do you believe me when I say that? Do you trust me? Right? So let's move on to the next thing. What we will be doing together over the next 5 calls is today is identifying and removing mental blocks. Call 2 is understanding your market so they feel that you can read their mind. Who wants to show up to that? Drop a 2 in the chat. That's going to be next week on Monday. It's same time. It's next week, same time. And call 3 is hardcore back alley street fight style sales drilling. So we do not do sales role play. I do not do that inside my program. I don't do that with anybody. We do hardcore fucking sales drilling, okay? So I will beat out of you anything that is weakness on your sales calls, because if you're going to close deals and help people, you have to show up, and you cannot let your mental stuff get in the way on calls. It is unacceptable. You did not get hired to have fear and doubt and limiting beliefs on your sales calls, did you? Drop a 3 in the chat if you did not get hired for that purpose. But yet, you bring it to calls, which is very unprofessional. So I hope we're going to beat that out of you in a fun-loving way. I mean, obviously, but still, like, that's just not your job, right? Your job's to close deals. And drop a 3 if you plan on, drop a 3.1 if you plan on showing up to this call. I don't want to scare you away from it, but it is going to be some tough love. We're going to get you really good, okay? Whoever is going to be drilling with me, I'll get you really good. We'll do pairs. And then I'll have you guys go into breakout rooms and drill probably for about an hour apiece, like switch out between partners and drill. So we'll be doing some cool stuff. 4 is reverse engineering your goals with data. So who wants to go and figure out how to take the KPIs and the data and stats that are within the companies that you sell for and reverse engineer your goals? And also, who wants to be able to, when they're vetting a company, whether or not they want to get hired for, who wants to be able to take a look at their stats and reverse engineer their goals before they get hired to see if they could even hit their goals long term in that company? drop a 4 in the chat. That's going to be call number 4. Okay? And call number 5 is a super duper cool secret call you don't need to worry nothing about. So don't ask me any fucking questions about it. Okay? You'll just see it when you get there. Don't tell anybody that we're having it either. Okay? It's none of their fucking business. Is it okay if I tell you guys a story? Is that okay with you? Whenever I first got into sales, I walked into a dealership. This is why I think I'm qualified to tell you that you can get any job role you want. I was 19. They don't hire below like 30 in car dealerships, Jules. So I had reverse ageism. I was too young. And I walk in the front door, and I got a purple bow tie, pink striped shirt, and khakis. And I'm hanging around a bunch of like tough dudes who sell cars. So I look gay as shit. All right? And I walk in the front door, and I say, can I have an application? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. So I sit down, and I convince them over the course of 3 hours that all of my lack of experience, it's still worth hiring me. And then they did, and I started the next day. And the thing is whenever I got into sales, I was terrified. I could not pick up the phone. I'd be sweating. I was so scared. I would call someone, they'd hang up on me. I'd say, I'd throw it down, and I'd stare at my phone for the next I'd stare at the phone and like my computer screen, like with my CRM, and I'd stare at it for like 10 minutes. And I'd like will myself to like take one more dial. And I'd do maybe like 10 dials in a day once a month. Because in car sales, they don't make you do dials. You're supposed to take people as they come on the lot. And I was terrified. I'd hide in the bathroom. Like my stomach would feel so queasy and awful that I'd hide from everybody. I wouldn't talk to customers. I'd hide in the bathroom and play on my phone for like an hour, and I'd say I was sick. And sometimes I got sick just so that way I didn't have to work. I'd actually be sick at work just so I could avoid it. And because the way I got sales hazed, which I'm very grateful for. But sales hazing is basically every time you screw up, you go into the manager's office and he screams at you. And I mean scream. And my manager, which, thank you, his name's Joe Ford. And I go into the office, and he's like, you stupid piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. You close the fucking deal. You let him walk out, da, da, da. One time, twice, actually, I let people walk out of the dealership, and he walked out, and in front of everybody in the dealership, all the customers and the salespeople, he said, get the fuck out of my dealership, and don't come back until tomorrow, or whatever, like until you're ready to sell, because I let people walk out, and that's a mortal sin in sales. And then I made like $2,000 a month doing that. I did not do very well. I did enough to cover my draws. They give you your pay up front, and then you pay it off throughout the month. So then I spent most of my money on Smoothie King at the time, which is unbelievably expensive if you drink it every day. And then I went and I sold insurance MLM, and I made no money. I made $600 in 6 months, and I was walking around the mall terrified, walking up to people saying, hey, I like your shoes. Do you keep your business options open? And I was trying to get them to join my insurance team. And I only sold like one policy out of the whole time I was there. And then I sold merchant services. I'd sit in my car terrified, and I wouldn't go up and go into the business. I wouldn't door knock. I'd like work up the courage to talk to somebody. And I'd walk in, and then I had one guy who was like, I fucking hate you people, da 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 da, you're always calling me. And I'm like, okay, man, da da da. I'm trying to like get through to him. And then I go back out to my car, and I like get myself together. I try on the verge of tears, and I go back out, and I like maybe talk to some more business owners. And that's what it was like. Then I got into pools. I did a little bit better. I gave a 90-minute presentation. So I talked at someone for 90 minutes, didn't ask them any questions. And I had it memorized too, so I could like do it without a script. And I sold a $21,471 above ground swimming pool. And the water was so clean you could drink it. It was a pretty cool product. And they brought me into their house on a $300 product. They saw an ad about a $300 product, and I had to upsell them to $21,000. And that was tough. I got kicked out of people's houses. They're like, get the fuck out of here. They're very, very mean. This was my sales journey. And then I got into online sales. I remember I felt horrible. I had run all my credit cards out. I was negative $2,500 in my bank account. And I was like horribly depressed. I don't know if you guys have ever had it whenever you're like really heavy and depressed, and everything around you literally looks like dark and gray, and it's like you're in hell. And I would go back to my room after my sales calls, after driving around all day. I'd work like 16 hours a day, 12 to 16 hours. I'd get inside my room. I'd eat my Domino's pizza that was left over from the previous night. And I'd sit down, and I was covered in like sweat and acne. I was just like, I was in rough shape, man. And I'm not saying I'm not covered in sweat and acne now, but I'm still eating pizza for every meal. But I know that's a joke. So I'd sit down after my 12 to 16 hours of driving around and trying to sell people. And I was going through a little sales program because I too got into the industry from some program that I bought. And I was trying to learn how to get into online sales. And I'd do 2 hours of study. And I'd be taking notes on everything. And I'd be practicing it verbally in my hotel room alone with my dim lights. And then I'd crawl into bed. I don't know if you guys have ever been so broke, but like you crawl into bed and the bed's covered in plastic. They don't even take it out of the plastic in the motel. And I crawl into bed and crank, 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 crank under me as I'm trying to sleep. I don't know if you guys resonate with that one. You got to be pretty fucking broke to live in a place like that. Like $1,200 a month. And I'd negotiate every week on how much I pay on my hotel. I'd go up to the front desk and I'd say, can I get it for like 35 or 40? And we'd negotiate. And then I got into online sales and I sold e-com. I did okay. I sold maybe like 20, 25% close rate. I was doing good. Like my best month, I made $9,000, but I immediately started traveling, which was stupid, fucking stupid. I started traveling. I made an $8,000 a month in commissions, and I immediately started traveling. Stupid idea. And then I ran out of money. I invited my friends to come stay with us. I filled up all my credit cards again. I had paid off a bunch of my credit cards, got a nice computer, all that stuff. And then the sales roll started going south. And they actually had to close the entire company, and I got laid off. And I was in the middle of El Paso during the snowstorm. If you're in the U.S., about 2 or 3 years ago, there was a huge snowstorm in Texas that knocked out the entire state of Texas. I was driving through that in my little Hyundai Sonata. It's not a all-wheel drive. It is a little sedan. And I crashed and had to be rescued 3 times while trying to drive home. I spun out in the middle of the highway going 70 miles an hour at like 3 a.m. And some truck driver came and picked me up. I got in his truck and he had a shotgun right next to me because we were like in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico and like we could totally get robbed. So he was carrying a shotgun for protection. I spun out in the middle of the highway again, in the middle of heavy traffic. I remember seeing a lady in her minivan as I spun around. She was like, holy shit. And I'm like, I know, I'm spinning out. It's pretty crazy. She didn't think it was so funny. I didn't get hit by any cars somehow. And then I got home and I was out of money and I had to rebuild. And I went and then I got another sales role. I was like weaning off of the previous sales role. So I tried starting a sales agency, stupid idea. That lasted a week. And then I talked a company that was in Denver into hiring me. I sent them a really aggressive video. I said, I will sleep in my car. I don't give a fuck what it takes. I just want to work here. And I showed my intro video to everybody in the office. And I got hired. I talked them into giving me a draw my first month, so they paid for my expenses. And I lived on a couch in a house full of people who did cocaine on the weekends while they partied. And I would go and I worked 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. And then I made like $4,000. They were making max $10,000 a month, and all of them were spending all their money on their cars. So they had like $1,000 car payment, but their income was like $8,000. They were retarded. These were like the worst financial decision people I've ever met. Right? They'd be like driving AMGs and all that. How you doing, Sarah Gomez? How you doing? You doing good? You're looking like either bummed out or tired or like, what the fuck's going on? Like,
I can resonate a lot with what you're saying.
So I'm sleeping on a couch. By the way, most comfortable couch I've ever slept on in my life. I'm very grateful for that. But all of my belongings were on a chair in that room. I was in a tiny little room that was like the recording studio because they like to make rap songs. Like, those are the kind of people I was living with. Not to knock rap, but you know who I was living with. I was living with people who spend all their money. Nick was a cool guy. We did some jujitsu. He choked me out. Like, I liked the people. I didn't like that they did drugs. I'm not a drugs guy, but it was fun. But I stayed there a month, and I left, and I joined my friend's sales team. I was on his team for like 2 months, maybe made a couple grand there. And then I got hired onto a mindset coaching offer. And I was desperate. Like, I sold the sales guy on selling me into the program, and later I joined as a sales rep. And I talked him into letting me join for $500 when their minimum payment was like $2,000. And he probably got in trouble, but I was more convincing, so I got him to let me in. And as soon as I jumped on that team, my income went up year over year. I think it was like 50%. No, it doubled 3 years in a row, just working on my mindset. And I stopped working on sales skills. I went through a bunch of sales courses before that. I bought another one while I was on the team, but I didn't really use it because the issue was never what to say. It was that I was always nervous and anxious, and I got in my head, and I kept pushing and grinding. It was always a grind. I was working like 16-hour days, like sweating my ass off sitting at home trying to work on my computer and hit like sales numbers. And I kept receiving all this data from all these different programs that I bought, and all the data conflicted. One guy said to say this way, and one guy said to do it this way, so then I'm getting confused. And then I used to blame the leads or like what I noticed actually when I was writing this is like I've never blamed the leads on almost any offer I was on. But I definitely didn't take responsibility because I knew I wasn't door knocking and doing the most I could, so why should I blame them? They could give me shitty leads. I was being a shitty sales rep. I wasn't showing up how I should be. I was too scared. And I thought skill was the most important thing. And I spent my time spending thousands of dollars on skills, and it got me nowhere. And I was all in my emotions, I thought I needed to feel good all the time, so I was constantly in my head, wondering how I felt that day, and it made things worse. The more you worry about your emotions and focus on your emotions and use your emotions as a driver in life, the more emotional in your head you get. That's it. That's why data is something you can look at, so you stop thinking and you just look at the data. And when I learned that, I used to sit for an hour a day and just look at my stats and look at the company stats. And I was literally like mapping out and manifesting in my mind what the future was going to look like statistics-wise. And it happened. I grew 20% month over month over month over month over month. Some months were down, some months were further up. As a setter, I was making $6 to $8 grand a month, and my best month was $16.8 grand in US dollars. So way more in Australian dollars. And that's because I closed a $50,000 paid in full over DMs. And I also had like $4 to $6 grand in back pay. I made $7 grand in one deal as a setter. I got closer and setter commissions. I made $7 grand from the 50K deal, and then I had all my other commissions. I was crushing. And all that I changed was I understood data and I understood mindset. I stopped working on skills. That's it. And it was really fucking exciting because every day I would wake up and I'd look at my stats, I'd look at my bank account. I saw how when I made a sale, how much would actually go into my investment accounts and my tax accounts and my this, and everything was organized. And like I had it all planned out. I knew if I was going to hit 10 grand this month that I'd take home 3 and I'd invest 1,000. I'd put this here, and it was all planned out ahead of time. And I was like on my shit, and it had nothing to do with the skills. Cool. It had to do with like I was really showing up how I wanted to show up. And I was proud of myself. So when I showed up, I was very certain and confident in myself. And it's very difficult for a prospect to challenge me because fuck with me. I got my shit together. What are they going to say? Whenever you hop on a call and someone doesn't know how to handle their finances and you don't know how to handle your finances, you won't be able to handle them. You'll say, well, how much do you have? When I talk to people about their finances, I go through their bank accounts, their credit cards, their loans, what their expenses are, what their income is, what their investment accounts are, the Bitcoin, their stock accounts. I go through their PayPal accounts, their Wise, their Venmo. I go through every single goddamn thing under the sun because I am more certain in my ability to make good financial decisions than I am certain in their ability to make good financial decisions. Because typically when people come to me, they're sales reps who aren't making the money that they want. So they don't make making money decisions. So that's why you have to increase your level of responsibility for other people, because I have to be really good at taking care of someone for them to put that much trust in me. That they'll trust that I'm going to look at all their situation and know what the right decision is. That's what a trusted advisor is. Does that make sense to you now? What it actually looks like versus what you've been told? That's what it looks like. And the thing is most mindset work puts you more in your feelings. It gets you worried about what your body says, which you're not your body, so your body's completely irrelevant. So when you think about what your body's feeling as a way to make decisions, you're almost certainly going to be making the wrong ones. That's how you get in relationships with boys you shouldn't have been in relationships with. You go off what your body said. Yeah, you all fucking know what I'm talking about there. You went off of your emotions and what the sensations in your body were. That's a great way to make fucking decisions, don't you think? It's a bad way to make decisions. Who just scoffed? Who was that? Allison? Yeah, right? Exactly. So that's the thing is you can actually look at your ideal anything on paper, and if it doesn't match it, that's a very logical way. And if he has all these red flags, and for guys who watch this in the future, if she has red flags, well, she's got red flags. That's the data. That's enough data. There's no fucking mystery to it, man. But you want to be in your emotions, and that's the fun part. It's like, oh, I don't know, and loosey-goosey, and da-da-da-da-da. I don't know. I'm a data-driven guy, and do you guys think that I'm all stiff and rigid and don't experience good emotions and all that stuff and don't have any life force? You'll have more life force the less you feed into your emotions. Because your emotions, usually all those negative emotions, they come from your mind, and they feed into you, and then you pay attention to them, and then you give your life force to the bad stuff in your mind, including the sensations you shouldn't be listening to. So then that takes control, and now your emotions are running you instead of you running you. So drop a 4 in the chat. Who thinks it's a good idea to maybe get off that train and get onto a better train where you're thinking more, I don't know, logically. Logic doesn't mean bad. Logic actually means pro-survival. It's what promotes your ability to survive and grow in life. So if you want to grow and survive in life, then it's going to be the logical thing to do. That's all logic is what actually promotes survival to the highest degree. That's it. It's not like this weird thing that makes you stiff and serious. I sure hope not. Right? So, and that's the other thing, is most mindset work that you do puts you further in your head. When you meditate, you're just going inwards. You're not putting your attention outwards. When you're, doing all these exercises and all these feelings and, I got to feel it through, right? And that's what I used to do. I used to do breath work. I used to do a meditation. I'd have guided meditation. I paid for a guy who would sit there and say, okay, now think this and feel this. Well, that's a weird thing to do, to have someone telling me how to think and feel. And it was all emotion driven. And then you wonder why you guys have emotional ups and downs, is your mindset solutions are all emotionally ups, and it's literally what you're doing. And then the thing is like, I kept getting in my way until I could actually look at the numbers. Because then I could see this isn't about me. This has nothing to do. That guy just told me no. Great, let me go just talk to 20 more people and then I'll get a yes. I don't care. Big deal. So what if someone told me no? Oh, that must mean I'm a terrible person. I must be bad at sales. Yeah, maybe. Who fucking cares? Move on. Next guy. Some will, some won't. So what next? That's sales. There's high volume and then quality of communication. Improve your quality of communication by fixing your mindset, and then do a high volume. So that way the more conversations you have, the more reference experience you have to be able to handle people. But you have to give yourself more chances, Sav. You have to give yourself infinite chances to screw up before you can really learn what resonates. You'll realize that using an objection handler, but you're secretly anxious, the handler doesn't work. But whenever you're confident, the handler works. So it was never the words you said, it was who you were being in that moment when you delivered it. Drop a 5 in the chat if you agree. Let's see, things need to... I'm reading my notes right now to making sure I covered everything. When I send people DMs, I can get a call with whoever I want. Brooke wouldn't answer my DMs. So what I didn't do this on purpose, but it worked. I was trying to get her attention. I was hoping I'd somehow get her attention. So I made a post making fun of all the she cells, because there's multiple. And I was like, which one's the real one and which one should I join? And then she posted a GIF on it and a funny picture. And I said, finally, Brooke, I wanted to meet you. Let's book a call. I finally got your attention. You can just meet whoever you want whenever you're having a fun, playful time. You can get whatever opportunity you want. If you were having more of a good time whenever you are on interviews, as playful as we are today, do you think you'd get more job offers if you showed up with playful, fun, but I'm still in charge energy? Drop a 6 in the chat. And that's it with story time. And we're going to do a little mindset quiz so you can zoom through it. But we're going to do a little quiz. So I'm going to drop that in the chat. This helps me get to know you. And then you're going to put your score. You can DM me your score or you can put it in the public check. I don't really care. I mean, we're all girlies here. I think we'll be cool with it. But go ahead and check out that form. And this is the last slide. Whoever gets that form done first, wins.